Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports. Could Jacques Nienaber be leaving Leinster? An explosive press conference that the former Springbok head coach has dropped this week. We're basically spoken about the fact that he doesn't feel valued at Leinster and nor particularly appreciated in Ireland, and basically intimated that the media and the fans have kind of lost faith in him, turned against him, and that could very well lead him to being dismissed or leaving his role within Leinster, because he basically said that the CEO doesn't fire you as a coach, the public and the media do. And he basically sort of said that that's kind of happened to him so far, with all the criticism that has been leveled against him due to the efforts against Bordeaux recently, where Leinster once again fell short of winning the Champions Cup. And I think nothing short of winning another URC this season will probably see potential heads rolling in a club which is expected to challenge and to win the biggest honors. The question is, if he were to leave, where would he go? And before we get into that, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. And please, big announcement, if you're watching this and you are a member of the channel, please go and check the link in the description to go and join our brand new WhatsApp community, where you can go get involved in all the latest conversations, all the latest news. And if you would like to join the WhatsApp community, then become a member, link in the description below, or else there's a direct link to joining the WhatsApp as well, which takes you to a page, and that you can basically go on from there. It is part of our membership offering, and it's really, really cool to see, be able to show you the plans that we're going to have with the channel, and drop a lot of exclusive content and potentially new things like a new Springbok platform within our WhatsApp community. So make sure you go and get that right now. Right, let's get into this press conference, shall we? And it was a stunning one. There's no other way of putting it. It was a very, very hectic press conference where he did not hold back. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to sort of see what's happened. You know, you can just see this is a frustration from a coach who has won the World Cup ×2 as head coach and as assistant coach, has won the URC with Leinster, but has been under a lot of scrutiny since he sort of went over, and gave an interview last year where he basically said that, you know, maybe he might come back to Springboks one day. And I think since then, things have all sort of kind of snowballed a little bit. So in terms of what he had to say, in terms of remaining at Leinster, he basically spoke about the fact that he doesn't get fired by the CEO. That's what I sort of mentioned earlier. And at the moment, his contract expires 2027, and he says he hopes to see it out. But this is some of the quotes itself. He said, "Let me put it to you this way. Who fires you? Do you know who fires you? The public, the media, they fire you." He says, "Not the CEO. He said he doesn't fire me, but you guys fire us, fire all coaches, because the pressure builds up, and the fans then build the pressure on them, and then the board, just ask this and say, listen, lads, I think we must part ways." When I say you guys, I'm saying the media. There's a misconception that people get fired by the CEOs. That is because of the pressure put on CEOs by the boards, by people listening. And he even goes on to an example, and he basically said, let's say the board member has dinner with his mates and his friends, and they go, "Sheesh, that Nienaber, you signed a deal with the devil, man." I'm quoting Rodri O'Connor. Said, "You sign a deal with the devil, you need to get rid of that devil. He's killing Irish rugby. That is how you get fired." So he's taken aim at the journalist as well. So he then says, so your question is, listen, am I going to be here? I hope so. Okay, currently I'm not sure, to be honest. And that is amazingly frank for a coach who is out of a contract in a year's time. And he says, "I don't think people value me here. They don't value me here. They don't." And I don't think that's necessarily in a woe is me type of thing. I think it's just a case of he's become a bit of a scapegoat for Leinster at the moment and the performances. And you know, he's gone from being absolutely adored, in fact, idolized really by South African fans for the work he's done with the Springboks, to an environment where I think there's quite a lot of hostility towards outsiders, if we're going to be brutally honest. And there's obviously a big Springbok rivalry building between Springbok and Ireland, and I think that him moving over there has very much fueled that. And I think he's kind of been caught in the middle of a big fan base rivalry brewing, Leinster not going and winning a Champions Cup. And I think all the coaches, to be honest, are under a lot of pressure. I think Leo Cullen is under a lot of pressure. But he's borne a lot of the criticism, because when you lose, your defense coach always is under fire, because it means you conceded more points than you scored, for example. And the fact that they did lose by quite a lot against Bordeaux, sort of also then there's a lot of big whiplash towards it. So in terms of what he then said about the conversation, he says, not for Leo, brackets to value me, people don't value. The moment you lose the team or the fan, you've got to go. The moment you lose the changing room or the club, the fan base, you've got to go. You could just hang there and take your check, but no, they don't want you there. He says, I've been here 3 years, coached 2 finals and a semi-final of Europe, 1 semi-final loss, 2 final losses, URC semi-final and a final, 1-1. And he says, listen, I can only fight through results, can't I? I'm asking, am I that shit? You say you're making a deal with the devil. This risk isn't paying off. Are you supporting me? What an interview. I mean, it's bizarre. It's blockbuster. And somebody mentioned the fact that apparently at the moment Leinster don't have a head of communications or somebody sort of driving the comms and interviews and media. And that's kind of probably makes sense, to be honest, because I don't think anyone would have basically signed off on the kind of comments that Jacques has made. But I like it to a certain degree. I love seeing a bit of personality come through and not just the everyday, oh, yeah, no, it's a bit tough. He's been very frank here. And I don't know if this is an SOS to South Africa to basically say, I'm not happy over here. I've lost the fans. I've lost the change room. I think he's very right, by the way. When you lose the change room, you're gone. You are absolutely gone. I've always said that. Coaches get fired and should leave when they lose the change room. It's why, for example, as a Lions fan, I've always said that despite his struggles, Ivan van Rooyen can still succeed because he hasn't lost the change room. And the players came out last season and said, it's our fault. We need to fight for our coach. So it's been an interesting scenario where the Lions, for example, haven't been contending for a title. It's the first time they've actually had their best season. You know, it's easy to sort of immediately knee-jerk and say it was dreadful because they lost to Leinster. It's a phenomenal Leinster side, but they have had their best season. And what was interesting about the scenario is the fact that the players remained faithful to the coaches. They didn't turn on their coaches. The complete opposite happened at the Bulls. And this is where I'm saying Ivan van Rooyen kept his job despite not making URC playoffs 3 seasons in a row, where Jake White lost his job whilst making a final, because he lost the change room, because he lost the players. So if it's right that the players don't trust Jacques Nienaber anymore and that he has lost the change room, then I think he will need to go. And it'll be the right decision. The question then from a South African point of view is, where does he go? Because he would be welcome at every single union within South Africa. He'd be welcome back at the Springboks. He would have his pick of jobs, really, back in South Africa. And I think if SA Rugby were smart, they would bring him in that sort of Moby coaching unit and make him available to the Lions, make him available to the Bulls, to the Sharks, to anyone really who wants to get him involved in the junior box. Imagine having Jacques Nienaber in a junior box camp, for example, a World Cup winning defense coach working with our juniors, get him involved in SA schools. There's so much value you can add in South African rugby, and they'll have their hand on the pulse here. They'll very much have fingers on all the various different things that are happening, so that if there's an opportunity, they can swoop him and get him back. I have no doubt, should he leave his Leinster contract a year early, we will see him back in South Africa and probably contracted to SA Rugby, unless one of the unions go and say, no, we need to go and throw all the money. I mean, imagine him at the helm of a Lions, for example. It would be pretty unprecedented, to be honest. And I'd love to see a big move like that. I don't think it'll be the case. I think he'll go back to the Springboks. Obviously, the relationship with Rassie Erasmus is probably going to be too big to kind of ignore. It is a very full coaching staff, though, when it comes to the box. But what do you think of the interview? No hold barred, really. It was, yeah, as I said, explosive, bizarre, strange, and it speaks to a man who's not happy over there, to be perfectly honest. And yeah, I think we'll see him back in South Africa sooner rather than later. But what are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve, and I'll chat to you soon.